Muslim teen mocked at school, then becomes principal years later. How will this story escalate? To find out, watch the video to the end. But first, please subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications to get more stories like this. Amina adjusted her hijab in the mirror one last time before slinging her backpack over her shoulder. Her reflection stared back at her, a mix of nerves and determination in her brown eyes. Today was her first day of junior year at West Ridge High, a school where she often felt out of place. She knew what awaited her: whispers in the hallways, lingering stares, and the occasional pointed question about her religion or the hijab she wore every day. But Amina had learned to brace herself for these moments, knowing they were only stepping stones on her path to bigger dreams. At breakfast, her mother placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Remember, Amina," she said softly, "your strength doesn't come from what others think of you. It comes from what you believe about yourself." Amina nodded, her mother's words giving her a much-needed boost of courage. "Thanks, Mama. I'll remember that." As she walked to school, Amina mentally ran through her goals for the year. She wanted to excel in her classes, participate in the science fair, and maybe even join the debate team. But most of all, she wanted to stay true to herself, no matter what challenges came her way. The hallways of West Ridge High buzzed with energy as students reunited after summer break. Amina kept her head high as she navigated the crowd, but the stares and whispered comments were impossible to ignore. "Isn't she hot in that thing?" someone muttered behind her, followed by a burst of laughter. Amina's cheeks flushed, but she kept walking, refusing to let their words affect her. She had heard it all before: the snide remarks, the jokes about terrorism, the assumptions about her intelligence or personality based solely on her appearance. Each comment stung, but Amina had learned to channel her hurt into determination. She would prove them wrong, not by reacting but by excelling. Her first class of the day was history, taught by Mr. Sanders, a teacher with a reputation for being strict but fair. Amina took a seat near the front, hoping to focus on the lecture and avoid any trouble. But as the class settled in, she noticed a group of students in the back whispering and pointing in her direction. "Looks like ISIS joined our class," one of them said, loud enough for Amina to hear. The room erupted into laughter, and Amina felt her heart sink. She glanced at Mr. Sanders, hoping he would intervene, but he simply cleared his throat and began the lesson as if nothing had happened. Amina clenched her fists under the desk, willing herself not to cry. She had always prided herself on her resilience, but moments like this made her question how much more she could take. She stayed quiet for the rest of the class, her mind racing with thoughts of injustice and frustration. At lunch, Amina sat alone at her usual spot near the window. It wasn't that she didn't want friends; she had tried to connect with her classmates many times. But the barriers they put up were hard to break through. Most people either ignored her or treated her like an outsider, and she had grown tired of trying to force her way into spaces where she wasn't welcome. Still, there were moments of kindness that kept her spirits up. As she unpacked her lunch, a girl named Rachel from her math class approached her table. "Mind if I sit here?" Rachel asked, smiling warmly. Amina hesitated, surprised by the gesture. Sure. Go ahead." Rachel sat down and opened her lunchbox. "I saw what happened in history today," she said, her tone sympathetic. "That was awful. I'm really sorry." "Thanks," Amina said quietly, her guard still up. "I'm used to it." "You shouldn't have to be," Rachel said firmly. "People can be so ignorant." For the first time in a while, Amina felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe not everyone at West Ridge was against her. Maybe there were people who saw her for who she really was. Despite the occasional kindness of classmates like Rachel, Amina's days at school were often an uphill battle. The bullying didn't stop, and the teachers rarely stepped in to address it. One particularly humiliating moment came during a group project in science class. Amina had worked tirelessly on her portion of the project, but when it was time to present, her teammates pushed her to the side. "You can just stand there," one of them said, rolling his eyes. "No one wants to hear from you anyway." The teacher, Mrs. Connors, said nothing even as Amina tried to protest. "But I did all the calculations," she said, her voice wavering. Her teammates ignored her, and Mrs. Connors quickly moved on to the next group after the presentation. Amina felt invisible, her hard work dismissed as if it didn't matter. That evening, she broke down in tears as she recounted the incident to her parents. "I don't know if I can do this anymore," she admitted, her voice choked with emotion. "No matter how hard I try, they just see me as different." Her father placed a comforting hand on her shoulder. "Amina, you have every right to feel hurt. But don't let them dim your light. You have so much to offer, and the world needs people like you to lead the way." Her mother nodded in agreement. "You're stronger than you think," she said. "And you're not alone. We're here for you every step of the way." Amina wiped her tears, their words giving her a renewed sense of purpose. She couldn't change the way others treated her, but she could control how she responded. She decided then and there that she wouldn't let the bullies win. She would rise above their ignorance and prove that she was capable of achieving greatness. One day, while Amina was studying in the library, she met Mr. Thompson, the school's English teacher. He noticed her working on an essay and struck up a conversation. "Your writing is impressive," he said after glancing at her paper. "Have you ever thought about entering the school's essay competition?" Amina hesitated. "I don't know. I'm not sure anyone would want to hear what I have to say." "Nonsense," Mr. Thompson said, his tone encouraging. "Your voice matters, Amina. And the more people hear it, the harder it will be for them to ignore you." Encouraged by his words, Amina decided to take a chance. She poured her heart into the essay, writing about her experiences as a Muslim student and the resilience it took to navigate a world that often misunderstood her. When the results of the competition were announced, Amina was shocked to learn that she had won. Her essay was read aloud at a school assembly, and for the first time, Amina felt seen and heard. The applause that followed was a small victory, but it was enough to remind her that her story mattered. Winning the essay competition marked a turning point for Amina. It wasn't just about the recognition, it was about proving to herself that her voice carried weight. She walked through the hallways of West Ridge High with a little more confidence, her head held high despite the whispers and stares. Some students congratulated her, while others seemed annoyed by her success, but Amina focused on the positive. She had shown that she could rise above the ignorance, and that was what mattered. Mr. Thompson became a mentor for Amina, offering guidance and encouragement as she navigated her high school years. "You have a gift, Amina," he told her one afternoon after class. "Not just for writing but for leading. You have the ability to inspire people even when they don't want to listen. Don't let anyone take that away from you." His words stayed with Amina, fueling her determination to excel. She threw herself into her studies, earning top marks in her classes, and began to set her sights on college. She dreamed of becoming a teacher, someone who could create a classroom where every student felt valued and heard. But the road ahead was far from easy. The bullying continued, and there were days when Amina felt like giving up. One such day came during a school assembly, when a group of students began mocking her as she walked to her seat. "Here comes the essay queen," one of them sneered. "Maybe she can write us all a sob story about how hard her life is." The laughter that followed was like a punch to the gut. Amina felt her cheeks burn with humiliation, but she kept walking, refusing to let them see her falter. She found her seat and sat down, her hands trembling in her lap. After the assembly, Rachel found her in the hallway. "Hey, are you okay?" she asked, her concern evident. Amina forced a smile. "I'm fine," she said, though her voice betrayed her emotions. "I'm used to it." Rachel shook her head. "You shouldn't have to be. What they're doing is wrong and they know it. But you're stronger than they are, Amina. Don't let them win." Amina nodded, her friend's words giving her a small boost of strength. She knew Rachel was right. She couldn't let the bullies dictate how she felt about herself. She had come too far to let their ignorance hold her back. The years passed, and Amina graduated from West Ridge High with honors. Her parents beamed with pride as she walked across the stage to accept her diploma, a moment that felt like a triumph not just for her, but for her entire family. She had overcome so much to get to this point, and she was ready to take on the next chapter of her life. Amina was accepted into a prestigious university, where she majored in education. College presented its own set of challenges, but it also gave Amina the opportunity to grow and explore her passions. She joined cultural and advocacy groups on campus, using her experiences to raise awareness about issues like Islamophobia and discrimination. Her professors recognized her talent and dedication, often encouraging her to take on leadership roles. One professor, Dr. Patel, became a particularly influential mentor. "You're going to be an incredible teacher one day, Amina," she said during one of their meetings. "You have the empathy and resilience that students need in a role model." Amina smiled, feeling a sense of validation. "Thank you, Dr. Patel. That means a lot. You've turned your struggles into strength," Dr. Patel continued. "And that's something not everyone can do. Keep pushing forward, you're going to change lives." After graduating from college, Amina began her teaching career at a middle school in her hometown. Her classroom was a reflection of her values: inclusive, supportive, and empowering. She made it her mission to ensure that every student felt seen and heard, just as Mr. Thompson had done for her years earlier. Amina quickly gained a reputation as an exceptional teacher. Her students adored her, often staying after class to ask questions or seek advice. Parents praised her for her dedication and compassion, and her colleagues admired her ability to connect with even the most challenging students. But Amina's journey wasn't without obstacles. Some parents and colleagues questioned her abilities, often making thinly veiled comments about her hijab or her background. "Are you sure you can handle this?" one parent asked during a parent-teacher conference. "It's just that, this school has a lot of different types of students. It might be hard for someone like you." Amina kept her composure, responding with grace. "I'm confident in my ability to support all of my students," she said firmly. "And I'm committed to helping them succeed." Her professionalism and dedication eventually won over even the skeptics. Over time, the community began to see Amina not as an outsider, but as a valuable member of the school. Years later, Amina received an unexpected phone call from the superintendent of the district. "Amina, we've been impressed with your work as a teacher," the superintendent said. "We'd like to offer you the position of principal at West Ridge High." Amina was stunned. The school where she had faced so much adversity was now offering her the opportunity to lead it. She felt a mix of emotions: pride, hesitation, and a lingering sense of unease. Could she really return to the place that had caused her so much pain? After much reflection, Amina decided to accept the position. She knew this was her chance to transform West Ridge High into the kind of school she had always dreamed of, a place where every student felt valued and supported. She wanted to ensure that no one else would have to endure what she had gone through. On her first day as principal, Amina walked through the halls of West Ridge High, her heels clicking against the tiled floors. The memories of her high school years came flooding back, but she pushed them aside, focusing on the present. As she passed by classrooms, she noticed students looking at her with curiosity. Some of the staff, including a few of her former classmates, seemed surprised to see her in a position of authority. Amina greeted everyone with warmth and professionalism, determined to set the tone for her tenure as principal. During her first staff meeting, she addressed the teachers and administrators with confidence. "My goal is to create a school culture that values diversity, equity, and inclusion," she said. "Every student who walks through our doors should feel like they belong here. And it's our responsibility to make that happen." The staff nodded in agreement, though Amina could sense some skepticism from a few of them. She knew winning over everyone wouldn't be easy, but she was ready for the challenge. In the weeks that followed, Amina began implementing changes at West Ridge High. Her first initiative was to introduce training programs for the staff, focusing on cultural competency and recognizing implicit bias. She knew that many of the challenges she had faced as a student stemmed from a lack of understanding, and she was determined to address it at its root. The training sessions were met with mixed reactions. Some teachers embraced the opportunity to learn and grow, while others resisted, dismissing the program as unnecessary. Amina expected pushback but remained patient, knowing that change often came slowly. During one session, a veteran teacher named Mr. Collins voiced his concerns. "With all due respect, Principal Ahmed," he began, his tone cautious, "I don't see why we need this training. I treat all my students the same regardless of their background." Amina smiled politely but firmly. "I understand your perspective, Mr. Collins," she said. "But treating everyone the same doesn't always mean treating them fairly. Each student comes to us with unique experiences and challenges, and it's our job to meet them where they are. This training is about equipping us with the tools to do that." Mr. Collins nodded, though his expression remained skeptical. Amina made a mental note to follow up with him later, knowing that individual conversations could often be more impactful than group discussions. In addition to the staff training, Amina worked to make the school's curriculum more inclusive. She partnered with teachers to incorporate diverse perspectives into lesson plans, ensuring that students learned about the contributions of people from all backgrounds. The changes were subtle at first, but over time they began to have a noticeable impact. One day, a student named Layla approached Amina in the hallway. Layla, a shy girl who often kept to herself, was wearing a hijab similar to Amina's. "Principal Ahmed," she said hesitantly, "I just wanted to say thank you for what you're doing. It means a lot to see someone like you in charge of the school." Amina felt a lump form in her throat. "Thank you, Layla," she said, her voice warm. "And don't forget, you have a voice too. If there's ever anything you need, my door is always open." Layla smiled, her confidence bolstered by Amina's words. For Amina, moments like these were a reminder of why she had taken on the role of principal. She wasn't just leading a school, she was creating a space where students like Layla could thrive. Not everyone was on board with the changes, however. Some parents expressed concerns about the new direction the school was taking, accusing Amina of pushing an agenda. At a PTA meeting, one parent stood up and voiced her frustration. "I don't see why we need to focus so much on diversity," the woman said, her tone sharp. "Shouldn't we be teaching our kids math and science instead of all this cultural stuff?" Amina remained calm, addressing the parent with poise. "Diversity and academics are not mutually exclusive," she said. "In fact, research shows that students perform better academically when they feel included and valued. By fostering a culture of respect and understanding, we're setting our students up for success in all areas of their lives." The room fell silent, and Amina could see several parents nodding in agreement. While she knew she wouldn't win over everyone, she was encouraged by the support she had gained from many members of the community. As time went on, Amina's efforts began to bear fruit. The school's atmosphere shifted, becoming more inclusive and supportive. Students who had once felt invisible now found themselves celebrated for their unique talents and perspectives. Teachers reported seeing more engagement in their classrooms, and the overall morale of the school improved. One of the most significant moments came during a school assembly, where Amina announced the creation of a new scholarship program. The scholarship, funded by donations from alumni and local businesses, was designed to support students from underrepresented backgrounds as they pursued higher education. "This scholarship is about more than just financial aid," Amina said as she addressed the students. "It's about recognizing the potential in every one of you and giving you the opportunity to achieve your dreams. You are the future, and we're here to help you succeed." The announcement was met with thunderous applause, and Amina felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had come full circle, transforming the school that had once been a source of pain into a place of hope and opportunity. One afternoon, as Amina walked through the hallways, she ran into an unexpected face: Jacob, one of the boys who had bullied her in high school. He was now a gym teacher at West Ridge High, a fact that had initially filled Amina with mixed emotions. But as they spoke, she realized that Jacob had changed. "Principal Ahmed," he began awkwardly, scratching the back of his neck. "I've been meaning to talk to you. I wanted to apologize for how I treated you back in high school. I was a stupid kid and I didn't realize how much damage I was causing. I'm really sorry." Amina regarded him for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "Thank you, Jacob," she said finally. "It takes courage to admit when you've been wrong. I hope you'll use your position here to be a positive influence on our students." Jacob nodded, visibly relieved. "I will," he said. "And for what it's worth, you've done an incredible job with this school. It's a much better place than it was when we were students." Amina smiled, feeling a sense of closure. While she couldn't erase the pain of the past, she could appreciate the growth and progress that had been made. As the school year drew to a close, Amina reflected on everything she had accomplished. The journey had been far from easy, but it had been worth every challenge. She had turned her pain into purpose, using her experiences to create a better future for the students of West Ridge High. At the end of year assembly, Amina addressed the students and staff one final time before summer break. "This year we've shown that change is possible," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "We've shown that when we come together with open hearts and minds, we can create a community where everyone feels valued. I'm so proud of what we've accomplished and I can't wait to see what we'll achieve next." The applause that followed was deafening, and Amina felt a wave of gratitude wash over her. She wasn't just the principal of West Ridge High, she was a symbol of resilience, justice, and hope. As the summer months arrived, Amina found herself reflecting on the journey that had brought her back to West Ridge High. Sitting in her office one quiet afternoon, she gazed at the wall adorned with photos of smiling students and staff. Each image represented a small victory, a reminder that change was possible, even in the face of adversity. But the work wasn't over. Amina had ambitious plans for the upcoming school year, including expanding the scholarship program, implementing mentorship initiatives, and further diversifying the school's curriculum. She knew the path ahead would be challenging, but she was determined to keep moving forward. One of her biggest goals was to involve students more directly in shaping the school's culture. She believed that giving them a voice was key to fostering a sense of belonging and empowerment. To that end, she decided to create a student advisory board, a group of representatives from various grades and backgrounds who would meet regularly to discuss issues and propose solutions. When the school year began, Amina introduced the idea at a school assembly. Standing on the stage in front of hundreds of students, she explained her vision for the advisory board. "This is your school," she said, her voice clear and confident. and I want you to have a say in how we can make it the best possible environment for everyone. The Student Advisory Board will give you the opportunity to share your ideas, voice your concerns, and work with us to create meaningful change. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Dozens of students applied for the advisory board, and Amina was thrilled to see such enthusiasm. After reviewing the applications carefully, she selected a diverse group of students who represented a wide range of perspectives and experiences. The first meeting of the advisory board was a success. The students were eager to share their ideas, discussing everything from improving mental health resources to organizing cultural events. Amina listened intently, taking notes and encouraging the students to think creatively. "This is just the beginning," she told them at the end of the meeting. "Your voices matter, and I can't wait to see what we'll accomplish together." One of the advisory board's first initiatives was to organize a Cultural Appreciation Week, a week-long event that celebrated the diversity of the school's student body. Each day featured different activities, including food tastings, performances, and workshops that highlighted various cultures. The event was a resounding success, with students and staff alike praising the effort. Amina was particularly moved by a workshop led by Layla, the shy student she had spoken to the previous year. Layla had grown significantly in confidence and used the opportunity to share her experiences as a Muslim student. "It's not always easy to feel like you belong," Layla said during her presentation. "But seeing someone like Principal Ahmed in this role has shown me that anything is possible. She's made me believe in myself, and I hope I can do the same for others." Amina felt tears well up in her eyes as she listened. Layla's words were a testament to the power of representation and the impact of creating a supportive environment. As the year went on, Amina faced her fair share of challenges. Not everyone was on board with the changes she was implementing, and she encountered resistance from some staff and parents. There were heated debates at school board meetings, where a vocal minority accused her of prioritizing social issues over academics. Amina remained steadfast, addressing their concerns with grace and logic. She presented data showing how the school's academic performance had improved alongside its efforts to foster inclusivity. Test scores were up, graduation rates were higher, and student engagement had increased significantly. "Creating an inclusive environment doesn't detract from academics," she explained at one meeting. "It enhances them. When students feel valued and supported, they're more likely to succeed." Gradually, the opposition began to dwindle. While not everyone agreed with her methods, most people couldn't argue with the results. Amina's leadership was transforming West Ridge High into a model of success, and the community was taking notice. One evening, Amina received a call from a former teacher at West Ridge High, Mr. Thompson, her old English teacher and mentor. "Amina," he said warmly, "I just wanted to tell you how proud I am of everything you've accomplished. I always knew you'd do great things, but seeing it happen is truly inspiring." Amina smiled, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Thank you, Mr. Thompson," she said. "You were such a big part of my journey. I wouldn't be here without your encouragement." "It was always in you," Mr. Thompson replied. "I just helped you see it. Keep doing what you're doing, you're changing lives." The conversation left Amina feeling deeply validated. She had come full circle, not only returning to the school that had once been a source of pain but also becoming a beacon of hope for others. It was a reminder of the power of perseverance and the importance of paying it forward. Toward the end of the school year, Amina organized a special assembly to celebrate the achievements of the students and staff. The event was filled with performances, awards, and heartfelt speeches. One of the highlights was a video montage created by the Student Advisory Board, showcasing the impact of the changes that had been made over the past 2 years. As the video played, Amina watched with a mix of pride and humility. There were clips of students participating in Cultural Appreciation Week, teachers engaging in training sessions, and alumni sharing how their experiences at West Ridge High had shaped their lives. It was a powerful reminder of the ripple effect that even small actions could have. At the end of the assembly, Amina took the stage to deliver a closing speech. "This school has come a long way," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "But what I'm most proud of is the community we've built together. Each of you has played a role in creating a place where everyone feels valued, where every voice is heard, and where every dream is possible." She paused, letting her words sink in. "When I was a student here, I often felt like I didn't belong. But today, standing here as your principal, I can honestly say that this is home. And it's because of all of you. Thank you for believing in this vision and for making it a reality." The auditorium erupted into applause, and Amina felt tears prick her eyes. She had achieved more than she ever thought possible, not just for herself but for the entire West Ridge High community. As the assembly ended, Amina found herself surrounded by students and staff expressing their gratitude. Many of them shared personal stories about how the changes at West Ridge High had impacted their lives. Among them was a teacher named Ms. Flores, who had joined the school shortly after Amina became principal. "Principal Ahmed," Ms. Flores began, her voice filled with emotion, "I just wanted to say how much I admire what you've done here. When I started teaching, I struggled to find my place in schools that didn't prioritize diversity or inclusion. But here I feel like I belong, for the first time in my career." Amina smiled warmly. "Thank you, Ms. Flores. That means a lot to me. I couldn't have done any of this without the dedication of teachers like you." As Ms. Flores walked away, Amina realized just how far the school had come. It wasn't just about the students. Teachers and staff were also benefiting from the environment she had worked so hard to create. West Ridge High had become a place where everyone, regardless of their background, felt valued. Later that evening, as Amina sat in her office reviewing the day's events, she received a knock at the door. To her surprise, it was Jacob, the former bully-turned-gym teacher, holding a small box. "I wanted to give you this," Jacob said, his tone hesitant. "It's a thank-you gift for everything you've done for the school." Amina raised an eyebrow, curious. She opened the box to find a framed photograph of the school, surrounded by handwritten notes from students and staff. Each note expressed gratitude for her leadership and the positive changes she had brought to West Ridge High. "This is incredible," Amina said, her voice thick with emotion. "Thank you, Jacob. And thank you for being part of this journey." Jacob smiled, clearly relieved. "You've inspired all of us, Principal Ahmed. Even people like me who didn't always do the right thing in the past." As Jacob left, Amina placed the photograph on her desk, staring at it with a mix of pride and humility. It was a tangible reminder of the impact she had made, and the people who had supported her along the way. The following week, Amina received an invitation to speak at a district-wide education conference. The theme was Leading with Purpose, and Amina knew her story was a perfect fit. She spent hours preparing her speech, reflecting on the lessons she had learned throughout her journey. On the day of the conference, Amina stood on stage in front of hundreds of educators from across the district. As she began to speak, she felt a familiar wave of nerves, but she quickly pushed them aside. "My journey as an educator began long before I stepped into a classroom," she said. "It began as a student, right here at West Ridge High. Back then, I faced challenges that could have broken me. But instead, they shaped me into the person I am today." Amina went on to share her experiences, from the bullying she endured to the moments of kindness that kept her going. She spoke about the importance of representation, the power of community, and the need for educators to create spaces where all students could thrive. "Education is about more than just academics," she concluded. "It's about teaching students to believe in themselves, to value others, and to dream big. And as educators, we have the privilege and the responsibility to make that happen." The audience erupted into applause, and Amina felt a deep sense of fulfillment. Her story had resonated with people far beyond the walls of West Ridge High, and she knew her impact was only growing. As the school year progressed, Amina continued to focus on empowering her students and staff. One of her favorite projects was a mentorship program that paired younger students with older ones. The program was designed to build connections, boost confidence, and create a sense of belonging for everyone involved. One day, Amina sat in on a mentorship session between Layla and her mentee, a timid freshman named Sammy. She watched as Layla encouraged Sammy to share his interests and dreams, patiently guiding him through his insecurities. "You remind me a lot of myself," Layla said with a smile. "I used to be really shy too. But Principal Ahmed helped me realize that my voice matters. And now, I want to help you see that yours does too." Amina felt a surge of pride as she listened. Layla's transformation from a quiet, uncertain student to a confident mentor was a testament to the power of support and representation. It was moments like these that reminded Amina why she had chosen this path. As the end of the school year approached, Amina decided to host a community celebration to highlight the achievements of the students, staff, and families at West Ridge High. The event, called Together We Thrive, featured performances, food, and activities that showcased the diversity and talent of the school community. The celebration was a huge success, with hundreds of people in attendance. Families mingled with teachers, students performed songs and dances from their cultures, and local businesses donated food and prizes to support the event. Amina walked through the crowd, her heart swelling with pride as she saw the joy and connection all around her. During the event, Amina was approached by a former student named Sarah, who had graduated years earlier. Sarah had been one of the students who had mocked Amina in high school, and seeing her now brought back a wave of memories. "Principal Ahmed," Sarah began hesitantly, "I don't know if you remember me, but I wanted to apologize. I was awful to you back in high school and I've regretted it ever since. Seeing everything you've accomplished has made me realize how wrong I was." Amina regarded Sarah with a calm expression, her heart softening. "Thank you for your apology, Sarah," she said. "It takes courage to admit when you've been wrong. And I hope you'll use what you've learned to make a positive impact on others." Sarah nodded, tears in her eyes. "I will. Thank you for giving me a chance to make things right." The event ended with a speech from Amina, who stood on stage surrounded by students, teachers, and community members. She spoke about the journey that had brought them to this moment, emphasizing the importance of resilience, empathy, and collective action. "This celebration isn't just about what we've accomplished, it's about who we've become," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "We've shown that when we come together, we can create something truly extraordinary. And I'm so grateful to be part of this incredible community." As the crowd erupted into applause, Amina felt a deep sense of fulfillment. She had come full circle, transforming her pain into purpose and her struggles into strength. West Ridge High was no longer just a school, it was a home. And she knew its legacy would live on for generations to come. The morning after the Together We Thrive celebration, Amina walked through the quiet halls of West Ridge High before classes began. The echoes of laughter and joy from the night before still lingered in her mind, filling her with a renewed sense of purpose. As she passed by the bulletin boards, she noticed new photos from the event already displayed. Smiling faces, vibrant performances, and the words, "Our community, our strength" in bold letters across the top. It was a simple phrase, but it captured everything Amina had worked for. West Ridge High was no longer a place where students felt invisible or overlooked. It was a place where they could thrive. Later that day, Amina received an unexpected visit from Dr. Patel, her former professor and mentor from college. "Amina," Dr. Patel said warmly as she stepped into the office. "I was in town and just had to stop by to see you." Amina stood and embraced her mentor, her heart swelling with gratitude. "Dr. Patel, this is such a wonderful surprise. Please have a seat." As they caught up, Dr. Patel listened intently as Amina described the changes she had implemented at West Ridge High and the challenges she had faced along the way. "You've truly transformed this place," Dr. Patel said, her eyes filled with pride. "But I'm not surprised. I always knew you had the determination and vision to make a difference." Amina smiled, feeling a deep sense of validation. "Your guidance meant so much to me," she said. "You taught me to see challenges as opportunities, and that mindset has carried me through so many difficult moments." Before leaving, Dr. Patel handed Amina a small, wrapped gift. "Just a little something to remind you of how far you've come," she said with a wink. Later, when Amina unwrapped the gift, she found a journal with the words, "Change begins with you," embossed on the cover. Touched by the gesture, she decided to use the journal to document her journey as an educator. A way to reflect on her experiences and the lessons she continued to learn. As the weeks went on, Amina found herself increasingly focused on the future. She wanted to ensure that the progress at West Ridge High would continue long after her tenure as principal. To that end, she began working with the school board to create a long-term strategic plan for the district, one that prioritized equity, inclusion, and student success. The plan included a mentorship pipeline for teachers, professional development programs focused on cultural competency, and partnerships with local organizations to provide additional resources for students and families. Amina was determined to create a framework that would support the entire community, not just the school. One evening, as Amina was reviewing the final draft of the plan, she received an email from a student named Malik, who was part of the advisory board. His message was short but heartfelt. "Principal Ahmed, thank you for everything you've done for us. Because of you, I finally feel like I belong at this school. You've shown me what it means to be a leader, and I hope one day I can make a difference like you have. Sincerely, Malik." Amina read the email twice, her heart swelling with pride. Malik's words reminded her of why she had taken on this role in the first place. She replied with a simple but meaningful message. "Malik, thank you for your kind words. I believe in you and I know you'll do amazing things. Keep being the incredible person you are." One of the final events of the school year was a career day, where alumni and community members came to speak to students about their professions. Amina was thrilled to see so many former students returning to give back to their alma mater. Among them was Sarah, the former bully who had apologized at the celebration. "I was nervous about coming back," Sarah admitted to Amina as they stood near the auditorium. But I realized that this was an opportunity to show how much I've changed, and to hopefully inspire students to do better than I did. Amina placed a reassuring hand on Sarah's shoulder. It takes courage to face the past, she said. And it's never too late to make a difference. I'm proud of you for taking this step. Sarah smiled, her confidence bolstered by Amina's support. During her presentation, she shared her journey of self-discovery and the lessons she had learned about empathy and accountability. Her words resonated with the students, many of whom approached her afterward to thank her for her honesty. Watching from the back of the auditorium, Amina felt a sense of fulfillment. Moments like these were proof that change was possible, not just for institutions but for individuals as well. As the school year came to a close, Amina began preparing for her final address at the graduation ceremony. She wanted her speech to capture the essence of what West Ridge High had become, a place of resilience, growth, and community. On the day of the ceremony, Amina stood on the stage in front of the graduating class, their families, and the entire school staff. The air was filled with excitement and anticipation as she stepped up to the podium. Graduates, she began, her voice steady and warm, today we celebrate not just your achievements, but the journey that brought you here. Each of you has faced challenges, overcome obstacles, and grown in ways that will shape your future. And as you leave West Ridge High, I want you to carry with you the lessons we've learned together, that every voice matters, that empathy is a strength, and that change is always possible. She paused, scanning the crowd and locking eyes with students she had come to know so well. When I stood where you are now, I couldn't have imagined that one day, I'd return to this school as its principal. But life has a way of surprising us. And what I've learned is that the challenges we face don't define us. How we respond to them does. The audience erupted into applause, and Amina felt a deep sense of pride and gratitude. As the ceremony continued, she watched each student walk across the stage to receive their diploma, knowing that they were stepping into a world full of possibilities. After the graduation ceremony, the hallways of West Ridge High grew quiet as students and teachers prepared for the summer break. Amina sat in her office, reflecting on the journey that had brought her here. The framed photograph of the school, filled with handwritten notes of gratitude, sat prominently on her desk. She reached for her new journal, flipping to the first blank page. With a deep breath, she began to write. This school year has been one of transformation, not just for West Ridge High but for me as well. Returning to this place that once brought so much pain has taught me the power of resilience, the importance of community, and the impact of believing in oneself. This is not the end of the journey, it's only the beginning. I can't wait to see what we accomplish next. She set the pen down, a soft smile playing on her lips. Her work was far from over, but she was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. Over the summer, Amina took some much-needed time to recharge. She spent her mornings at the local library, reading books on leadership and education, and her afternoons volunteering at a community center. The center served as a safe space for youth, offering tutoring, mentorship, and activities designed to empower them. One day, Amina ran into Malik, the student who had sent her the heartfelt email. He was volunteering as a mentor for younger kids, his confidence shining as he guided them through an art project. Principal Ahmed? Malik called out when he saw her. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing, Amina replied with a grin. It's great to see you giving back. Malik shrugged, a bashful smile on his face. You inspired me. I figured if you could make a difference, maybe I could too. Amina felt her heart swell with pride. You're already making a difference, Malik. And I have no doubt you'll keep doing amazing things. As the new school year approached, Amina began planning for an ambitious project, a district-wide student leadership summit. The summit would bring together students from schools across the district to share ideas, collaborate on solutions, and build a network of young leaders. Amina worked tirelessly with her team to organize the event, reaching out to community partners for funding and support. When the day of the summit arrived, the turnout exceeded her expectations. Hundreds of students gathered in the gymnasium, their excitement palpable. The keynote speaker was a former West Ridge High student named Nadia, who had gone on to become a successful activist and author. As Nadia took the stage, she shared her journey of overcoming adversity and using her voice to advocate for change. Leadership isn't about having all the answers, Nadia said. It's about listening, learning, and taking action. Each of you has the power to make a difference. You just have to believe in yourselves. The students gave Nadia a standing ovation, and Amina felt a surge of hope as she looked out at the crowd. This was the future. Young people stepping into their power, ready to create a better world. In the weeks that followed, Amina received emails and letters from students who had attended the summit. Many of them shared how the experience had inspired them to take on leadership roles in their schools and communities. One letter from a student named Daniel stood out. "Dear Principal Ahmed, I wanted to thank you for organizing the Leadership Summit. It was the first time I felt like my ideas mattered, and it gave me the confidence to run for Student Council President. I won the election and I'm excited to start making changes at my school. You showed me that one person can make a difference and I hope to follow in your footsteps. Sincerely, Daniel." Amina read the letter twice, her heart full of gratitude. Each small ripple of change was a reminder of why she had chosen this path. The work wasn't easy, but it was worth every moment. As the years passed, West Ridge High continued to thrive under Amina's leadership. The school became a model of inclusion and excellence, attracting attention from educators and policymakers across the country. Amina was invited to speak at conferences, write articles, and consult with other schools looking to replicate her success. Through it all, she remained grounded in her purpose: to empower students, support teachers, and create a community where everyone felt they belonged. She often thought back to her days as a student, the pain of being mocked and underestimated. Those experiences had shaped her, but they didn't define her. Instead, they fueled her determination to build a better future. One crisp autumn morning, Amina stood at the entrance of West Ridge High, greeting students as they arrived for the day. A young girl wearing a hijab approached her, a shy smile on her face. "Good morning, Principal Ahmed," the girl said. "Good morning," Amina replied warmly. "What's your name?" "Amira," the girl said. "My mom told me about you. She said you used to be a student here and now you're the principal. I think that's really cool." Amina felt a lump form in her throat. "Thank you, Amira," she said. "I'm so glad you're here. If you ever need anything, my door is always open." Amira nodded, her smile growing. "I want to be a teacher one day just like you." Amina watched as Amira walked into the building, her heart swelling with pride and hope. The cycle of empowerment and inspiration was continuing, and she knew it would carry on for generations. As she turned to greet the next student, Amina felt a sense of peace. Her journey had come full circle, but her mission was far from over. West Ridge High was more than a school, it was a beacon of possibility, a testament to the power of resilience and community. And Amina was exactly where she was meant to be.